Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Another spooky Vlogoween day. This is part 2 of my top 10 favorite scary movies. My top 10 favorite scary movies, again, to reiterate. If you haven't seen part 1, go ahead and do so. I will link it down below, and there should be a card popping up for it. Go watch that one, come back to this one, or watch that one and then go back to that one. However you want to do things. Again, this list is in no particular order. It's just whatever came to mind at the moment of making my list. So let's just get with it then. First up on this list is Rosemary's Baby. The tagline for this movie is, "It's not what you're expecting." Rosemary's Baby came out in 1968, and the reason I love this movie is because it's very, I don't know, it's a little unorthodox. The tagline is perfect, it's not what you're expecting, but then it goes more into, it's not what you're expecting in the sense of childbirth and motherhood. It's directed by Roman Polanski, so his movies are kind of off, but in a good way. You kind of have to pay attention. I won't say you have to pay attention as much as you do with The Ninth Gate, but it's still good to pay attention to what's happening. So the movie is about Rosemary and her husband Guy move into an apartment, and very quickly, Rosemary at least, starts to realize things are not what they seem. The neighbors are kind of intrusive. At least the woman neighbor is very intrusive, very much wanting to always be there all the time. Just kind of what you would think of like an annoying neighbor that won't leave you alone. But very soon Rosemary gets pregnant, and the neighbor becomes very interested in this pregnancy, trying to make the baby healthy. And even the doctor is giving things to Rosemary that she's not sure if she really needs. Rosemary starts to feel pains in her stomach, and then Rosemary starts to think that something bigger is happening to her.
Dr. Hill? Dr. Hill, there's a plot. I know that sounds crazy. You're probably thinking, my God, this poor girl is really flipped, but I haven't flipped, Dr. Hill, I swear. By all the saints, I haven't. There are plots against people, aren't there?
Yes, I suppose there are.
Well, there's one against me and my baby.
There are so many great scenes. The scene of conception, that is a really great scene also. I don't want to give away too much, as I said in the first video I made about the movies that I'll be going over, but there are some things that I can't help but show because they're so great. So spoiler alert. But the conception scene is really great, where she thinks it was a dream, and then she realizes what's happening is not a dream, that the devil really is impregnating her.
This is no dream, this is really happening!
Until the next morning, and Guy, her husband, was just, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was so rough last night," and it was really a ritual that was being performed. And then the ending where Rosemary gets to the bottom of everything after the pregnancy. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. The next movie on this list is The Babadook. Tagline for this movie is, "If it's in a word, or if it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook." This movie came out in 2014. It was quite refreshing, I would say. It was not the type of movies that were coming out at the time, which is great, because the type of movies that have been coming out recently too, are either all remakes, or they're just, I don't know, I just don't like them. I don't know how to explain what it is I don't like about them. I'm not the best person to have I don't have a very good vocabulary, so I have trouble getting my point across. But I just don't like the movies that are coming out recently. But when the Babadook came out, that was, again, quite refreshing. And it's kind of what it does. It has, how do I want to say it? It's a movie that represents depression. At least that's what everyone is saying about it. And I agree with that. I can definitely see how it's dealing with depression and going through it from beginning to end with depression. But the movie is about a mother and a child, and her child is, he's just really misunderstood. She seems to not give him enough attention, but it has to do with the day that she was going to the hospital to give birth. It's the same day that her husband died. So it's kind of as if her child is Sam. It's kind of as if Sam is a constant reminder of what happened. And one day Sam finds this book called the Babadook, and he asks her to read it. And of course that doesn't go very well. He quickly, he doesn't, it scares him basically, as it would any child.
Telling of the happiness and loveliness that lay at the bottom of the ocean, and entreating the sailors.
And he's already obsessed with monsters in a way. She like your typical kid, check under my bed for monsters, check in my closet for monsters, make sure there's no monsters around. But soon after reading that book, it keeps appearing, and she even tries to burn it, and it comes back. And the point of the Babadook is the more you ignore its existence, the more it becomes true. So she's just going through this Babadook as she's slowly turning insane, and it's kind of like Sam has to save the day. At least I see it that way. He has to kind of save the day with love, of course. Next, I will be talking about Silent Hill. The tagline for this movie is "Not So Silent Anymore." This movie came out in 2006. It is an adaptation from the video game Silent Hill. It has some of the best creatures that I've ever seen. Of course, it plays off of the video game, but in the movie, these creatures are incredible. I even dressed up as one of the nurses for Halloween from this movie. So I'm going to try and describe Silent Hill. I haven't been doing a good job describing any of these movies, but Silent Hill is kind of hard to explain. At least for me, it's hard to explain. So Silent Hill is about a mother and a daughter. There's a father there too, but a mother and a daughter, and the daughter keeps drawing these pictures of a place called Silent Hill, and it's affecting her day-to-day life. So one day the mother takes the daughter to Silent Hill to figure out what's going on, and the daughter runs off, and so the mother's wandering Silent Hill trying to find her daughter, while at the same time there are people living there in Silent Hill that shouldn't be living there, because it's almost like a parallel universe in a way, or another, parallel universe in a way, because the father goes looking for them, and he's at the same place at the same time as they are, but they're not meeting. So it's definitely some kind of alternate universe that's happening at Silent Hill. But we follow the mother, the daughter, and this police officer that followed them to Silent Hill on their journey of trying to find the little girl and learning what Silent Hill is about and why everything that's happening there is happening there.
One thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
Next up is The Lost Boys. The tagline for The Lost Boys is "Sleep all day, party all night, never grow old, never die. It's fun being a vampire." The Lost Boys came out in 1987, and I'm not particularly a fan of vampire movies. I'm just not. It's not, I don't know, they're just not really my thing. I'm more into werewolf movies, but The Lost Boys I don't know, it's fun. It's a really fun kind of a movie. We follow a family that moves to Santa Carla with their grandfather. The grandfather lives there. And one of the sons, Michael, he's okay with moving there, but he doesn't really seem that great or happy to be moving there. I don't think either of them are. But Sam seems to be adjusting a lot more to his brother rather than his brother. And Michael gets in with the wrong crowd, so to speak. The crowd happens to be vampires, and they're slowly turning him into one of them. And Sam, there's a lot of Sams in these movies. And Sam meets the Frog Brothers in their comic book shop, but that's just their cover because they're really vampire hunters. And so they start talking about vampire hunting, and Sam starts to see things about Michael that might hint to him starting to turn into a vampire. And so it turns into Sam and the Frog Brothers trying to stop Michael turning into a vampire so he's not damned for all of eternity. And this is another one of those fun kind of a movies. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. I recommend all of these movies, but I recommend this one, especially if you're like me and you don't really know if vampire movies are your thing, or if they're not really your thing. I would still watch this one. It's still really fun. Next on this list is Ginger Snaps. As I said, werewolves are my thing. The tagline for this movie is, "They don't call it a curse for nothing." This movie came out in the year 2000, and it is a werewolf movie, in a sense. It's also a way of talking about puberty and STDs. Because we meet these two sisters who enjoy taking very interesting, gory photos of them in like positions of dying. That's just, I don't know, it's just what they're into. And so people think that they're weird and they don't want to talk to them. And then one day while they're at the park, Ginger gets attacked by what they thought was just like a big dog, but it happened to be a werewolf. And so Ginger starts to develop very quickly, and so it's supposed to be as if it's puberty, but it's really the werewolf's curse that's happening with her. And she has like sex with this one guy, but then he starts having like lycanthropy type of ways about him, so that's interesting. Never seen that with a werewolf movie before. But it's up to her sister to try. So it's up to her sister to try and save her, I guess. You can't really save a werewolf once they've become a werewolf, but she tries to save her sister from this curse that she has. Next on this list is Return of the Living Dead. The tagline is, "They're back from the dead and they're ready to party." It's a lot of parties, a lot of Sams, and a lot of parties, and a lot of fun in this list. This movie came out in 1985. It's called Return of the Living Dead, but I would in no way say that it is a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. It's its own entity and its own separate movie. And it's a zombie movie, and it's a zombie movie in the sense of nuclear zombies. So the brain does not kill them. Even chopping them up into pieces doesn't kill them, but you can burn them. But burning them is kind of what brings this whole movie into its disaster in the realm of this universe and what happens to them. So there's two men. I don't remember why they're in this science place, this laboratory. I don't know what they're doing there. I haven't seen this movie in a hot minute, but I know that I love it to death. And they open this hatch of a military tank, and that releases a gas, And so then the bodies that are in that facility start coming back to life, and that's when they find that you can't hit it in the brain like in the movies, and you can't chop it up, you just have to burn it. But burning it, the fumes went into the air, went into the clouds, it rained, and it rained all over the city, including its graveyards, and that's what made the dead come back to life. We follow them as well as a group of punks. Love it. Love every single thing about it. And right away the punks see the dead coming back because they're hanging out in a graveyard where punks tend to hang out. And they start seeing the dead coming back, and it's such a great scene with the one skeleton coming up. Oh, I don't know, I love the way it looks. It just looks so great. I love it. So one girl, she's like naked because she's crazy, and she took off her clothes, and she wants to be, I don't know, she has this weird fantasy of like getting eaten alive. Guess what? So, but she's complaining about the rain burning her skin. I wonder why. Nuclear rain. And so they go into this facility they were in. And when they go in, one girl gets separated, and the most amazing zombie I have ever seen. He was in the tank at the beginning when they opened that tank, and he's called the Tar Man. And he is the best looking zombie I have ever seen. I love him so much. Oh my gosh. I don't know, he just looks great. And the way he walks, that slumpy like walk, I don't know, when I think of zombie, I see him. Oh my goodness. So now it's a group of people just trying to survive this zombie outbreak. A great scene as well is with the zombies and the paramedics and the cops, because these zombies can talk and they're smart, pretty smart to be able to trick and do the things that they do.
Send me a cops.
It's also the first movie, if I'm not mistaken, to say brains. That's where that came from, with zombies and brains. I don't know, it's fun. Punks, man. The next movie on this list is another werewolf movie, and it's Silver Bullet. So I suppose the tagline for this movie would be, it started in May in a small town, and every month after that, when the moon was full, it came back. Silver Bullet, werewolf movie. Iconic werewolf movie. So Silver Bullet involves mainly a family with the sister as a narrator of what happened of the summer and the months after that. So we're talking about the brother who is in a wheelchair, and the uncle comes by regularly to visit him, but he has an alcohol problem, so the family doesn't really like it when he spends too much time with his nephew, but they have a great relationship either way. And recently, a lot of deaths have been happening, and they don't know what's causing these deaths, because they're not your regular deaths. They're horrific, violent, skin-ripping deaths. And it mainly starts when Marty sees the werewolf. And he sees the werewolf when he's popping fireworks on the 4th of July. Because his uncle gave him a new wheelchair. It's motorized. It's almost like it's its own kind of vehicle, basically. It's motorized, and he gives him fireworks to go out at night and pop fireworks. And that's when he sees the werewolf. and he didn't know who to tell, but he told his sister. Then finally they told their uncle, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he told the uncle first and then the sister. I'm pretty sure he told the sister first and then the uncle. Uncle doesn't believe them, of course, until he just plays along basically with what they both say, because the sister starts to believe the brother and tries to help him out with figuring out who in the town could be this werewolf. What I love about this movie is that the werewolf is not who you're expecting. So I wouldn't say it's a big twist, but it's just someone that you wouldn't think about to be a werewolf. Next up, The Evil Dead, 1981 Evil Dead, the first Evil Dead. Although I do love the remaster. It's not a remake, it's a remaster. Tagline for this movie is, "Can they be stopped?" I feel, I don't know, a lot of people have seen this already. It's a great movie. The special effects is amazing. Even the sounds that you hear, most of them are coming from the actual actors. Special effects, makeup, sounds, Bruce Campbell. All I have to say is Bruce Campbell. The thing about The Evil Dead is that it has elements of comedy in it. It wasn't supposed to be taken as funny. Well, that's what happened. But Sam already had done some kind of like horror comedies before The Evil Dead, so it was just kind of in his blood to do that kind of filmmaking, I guess, without realizing that he was doing that. That's why the second one has a lot more comedy in it than the first one, even though they're kind of the same movie. They are. But obviously the second one goes into Army of Darkness, which is also great. I love them all, but I'm choosing the first one because it's the first one. It's the first one. And it's supposed to be seen as a full-on horror movie. Of course, it had its elements of comedy in it. When I first saw it, when I was a younger, small child, it actually did kind of freak me out. I mean, I was I was in the dark, I had my blankie, I put it on TV, and I don't know, the sounds, I think the sounds are what really got to me. Like the phrase spine chilling, I had that spine tingly chilling just hearing their noises, and I hated it. Well, loved it and hated it at the same time. One scene that I especially didn't like but liked was when his demon girlfriend, was just sitting in the doorframe, just repeating the same words, like a little doll, and laughing.
We're gonna get you, we're gonna get you, not another peep, time to go to sleep.
Yeah, I don't like that. But very quickly, it goes back to its comedy. Evil Dead, great movie, recommend it, recommend the second one, recommend Army of Darkness, recommend the remaster. No, like, comedy in the remaster, it's all horror. It's great. I watched The Evil Dead if you haven't seen it, if you love gore and gross out movies, because that definitely has it with the special effects makeup. Let the Right One In is next on my list. This is a Swedish film that came out in 2008, and it is another vampire movie. It's labeled as drama romance, which I can definitely see that, I can, but it does have its horror factors and elements. I don't have a tagline for this because it's not in English, it's in Swedish, and I can't read Swedish or speak it. So when I watched it, I obviously watched it with subtitles. There is a remake of it that was made in America a few years after, of course, the remake, called Let Me In. I haven't seen that, so I can't really give my opinions on it, but we're talking about the Swedish original Let the Right One In. And it follows a little boy who gets bullied a lot, really badly bullied, and he meets this little girl that he sees at the park outside his room, or outside his window in his room. And it is a very sweet story, because I don't think it's ever said that she's really a vampire per se. I can't remember, but she does tell him, that she's 12. She's been 12 for a very long time. She's not dead, she tells him, but she's not alive either. She does obviously have to kill to survive, to get her blood and her nourishment, and she kind of acts as a protector for him. And it's really sweet because he doesn't have any friends, so she becomes a best friend, a lover, a protector. There's a really cute scene where he asked her if they could be together, and she says no just because she doesn't understand. And then she asks him, well, can we still be the way that we are? And he says yeah. And so then she says, okay, we can be together. And I think that's just the cutest thing. It's very, as a horror movie, it's also very feel-good at the same time. I would give it a watch at least once. Last on this list is The Blair Witch Project, made in 1999. Don't have a tagline for this one. The Blair Witch Project is known to be kind of the birth of found footage movies. I didn't know that was up for debate. I thought it was, but apparently it's up for debate. Apparently there are other found footage movies out there, but Blair Witch Project definitely mainstreamed it, if didn't create it. It's definitely the reason why we have so many found footage movies out there. So it's about a group of film students in Maryland who visit a small town that I can't pronounce very well. Burkittsville? I'm saying it as it's spelled. I think it's Burkittsville, Maryland. And they hear about a story called the Blair Witch, and that's what they want to document. So they ask the people in the town, what is this Blair Witch story? What have you heard? And so they go into the woods, spend the night, or a few nights. I don't remember if it's supposed to be just one night or a few nights. And yeah. There are some very creepy things that happen. It's all about the imagination with this one. They get lost, don't know where they're going. They hear all sorts of crazy stuff outside their tent. They have the stick figures outside their tent when they wake up one day. Josh, I know his name because she keeps screaming it the entire movie. He goes missing, and at one point you hear him screaming in the woods at night, and that's really scary. I don't know what I would do if I just heard my friends screaming out in the woods and I couldn't do anything about it because I myself can't go home. The most memorable would be the ending. I'm not going to show the ending. A lot of videos when they talk about the Blair Witch, they always show the ending because it is it's really good. Basically, but I'm not going to show the ending. But that pretty much sums up what the movie's about. A group of students go out into the woods, talk about this Blair Witch. Doesn't go well. Does it always? Does it always go well in these woods? No, never. Don't go to the woods. That is all for today's video. Today's Vlogoween. My favorite scary movies part 2. Stick around for tomorrow with my favorite scary movies part 3. And that will be the last installment of scary movies. That's 30 scary movies. That's a lot. I mean, I still know more, but that's a lot. So as you know, doing Vlogoween every single day. I have not been counting down because I don't want to count every single day. But new video every single day. Had a lot of fun so far with this. Can't wait to share the rest of the month with you. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe down below. If you want to follow me on my other social media, I have linked them down below as well. And I will see you tomorrow for the next one.